Hey Acers. So I just wanted to check in with you real quick and just let you know that the moving goes apace. So pardon if things come in and out of the background, like the dress mannequin back there. Um, but anyway, I should still be down in this end of the valley, so I should still be able to be the sponsor for the Ace role playing games at this end of the valley. That said, I do a lot of that, don't I? Anyway, I did have a bit of gaming last week. I ran the first part of, let's see, the first part of Tomb of Terrors last week, Tuesday, for the Ace Club parents that come and just hang out afterwards. And let's see if I can get this a little better on, so my beard's not just disappearing off the end of the screen. Anyway, so I ran for the Ace Club parents because parents will come and hang out while their kids are gaming, and lacking anything better to do, we'll just go forward and do that. Um, I also I tried to run on Thursday night Escape from Carnage Island, but as only one player showed up, it kind of nixed that. So that said, let's shift gears again, and I'm going to talk today about. I think I'll talk about kind of in the order of the book as far as creating characters goes. Let's start a character creation series. And that leads to the quintessential question of why create a character? Why not just be me going into a situation? Now, admittedly, because of the self-defense that I do and the fencing that I learned and other things, I could probably do okay actually in physical combat. Well, that my size would help too. 6'1" and 250 pounds. So, I'm a big guy. So I could probably do okay in an actual physical combat fight. But that's not the point. The point is that when you are creating a character, you're trying to create someone who's a little bit not like you. Maybe has some of you in it because, hey, we're all going to be in every character we create. But you want to create someone who can do the things that you imagine will be useful in the world that you're going to play in. So, actually, even before character creation, let's back up and just, since we're game masters, let's talk the world itself. Now, lots of books exist out there on creating worlds. You can get writing books, you can get screenwriting books, you can get role-playing game books that talk about creating worlds. So, just running with creating worlds for a bit here. The world is going to need it. Well, first of all, it is a world in which story can happen, but you have not created a story for the world. As one of the first podcasts I listened to talked about what your job is as the game master is that you are the problems department. You create problems for your players. Your players come up with the solutions. So I'm going to just introduce you to two different world building philosophies that are out there, and then my third and favorite one. So there are two kind of, and this falls into game prep too. So the first is the idea of plotting out the world, having every single thing that the players can interact with their characters, having that just every little piece put together. And when it comes to like novel writing, for example, some authors do that. They're planners. They plan out every little piece. Some people, I even heard tell that that Robert Ludlum, who wrote the Born Identity books, I heard tell that he would write sometimes bigger plots and outlines than he would actual novels that came from them. And that's fine, because the big key to take away from the plotter side is you need to be able to know your world and know how your world is going to react to what the players do. So that's part one. Part two comes from the pantsers. as they're sometimes called. They write by the seat of their pants. Stephen King writes a lot this way. He just starts with an interesting scenario and writes his way out from there. And that can lead to a problem that I don't know if he still has it. I'm going to check it out in his latest novel, but a problem that he seemed to have right up till Duma Key in his post-accident recovery phase, which, incidentally, Mr. King, Duma Key is possibly one of my favorite novels, period. I love the haunted house motif that you get in there, even though, and I'm not going to spoil it for anybody who hasn't read it, but I love the feeling that you got in there, and that was possibly, and you ended it correctly. You put in some excellent ending work, so thank you for that. And if you're ever going to do a creepy house story, like an old crumbling mansion kind of story, definitely check out Duma Key. So with that, the Pantsers, like I said, they'll usually start with one cool idea and then write their way around it until they get a whole story. And as a role-playing game master, you need to be much more, in a lot of ways, a pantser than a plotter. Because plot says that you're going to you already know how everything's going to turn out. Pants says you can adjust your gaming accordingly. And really, we need to be right down the middle. We need to be in the what I call the amusement park method. And I love this idea because I grew up here in Utah and we have City of Fun carnivals. Now, if you've ever seen the movie The Sandlot, which, hey, there's a movie that I'm recommending that you can go watch and your parents will love you for it. Your parents will get a kick out of seeing it anyway. But The Sandlot was filmed here in Utah. And it was filmed not too far away from me on any side, really. I think the pool's up in Ogden, so that's like 45 minutes to an hour away. But otherwise, the drugstore's still down in Midvale, and there's other, and the Rich Kids Ball Diamond is over in Rose Park. If you've ever lived in Utah, that's pretty, it's a pretty rough neighborhood. So having the rich kids live there, that's pretty funny. But anyway, and it might have gentrified a little bit and gotten a little softer, but still, it can be a rough neighborhood. But anyway, I mean, hey, it wasn't all bad, and it wasn't always all bad because that's where my grandma lived, and there are a lot of post-World War II houses up there. Really cool. Anyway, I was going to mention something about The Sandlot, but I still recommend you see the movie. But regardless, you are going to... Oh, the amusement park. That's what I was going to get to. Thank you, brain. Brain works sometimes. Anyway, the amusement park works like this. It was, well, first of all, it was City of Fun Carnivals who put that amusement park in the movie. And yeah, just to spoil this one for you on a more than 30-year-old movie. The fireworks display they watch is not the 4th of July. That was the 24th of July, and Utah's always gone all out for that one. And so that was the one from Liberty Park, which before COVID was possibly the best show in the valley every year. So regardless, the City of Fun Carnivals is a local Utah-based company, and they really do have some of the cool old rides. Like they've got tilt-a-whirls, they've got octopuses, they've got the centrifuge that goes around and you stand in the cage and then they pick it up sideways and the pressure's holding you back against the cage as you're spinning around like this sideways. And you're looking down at the ground sometimes or up at the sky sometimes, and your head's not moving, you're just spinning around. It's fun. That's one of my favorite rides. Anyway, the thing is with a carnival, with an amusement park approach to role-playing and to running your games, you are going to be able to have things happen whether the players are on them or not. So if your players go ride the Tilt-A-Whirl, the Roundup is what they call it, or the Music Land Express, those are still going to run. Those are whatever that one is called. I can't remember that one, but there's still multiple rides that are going to still run at the same time because you just got the ticket for the Tilt-A-Whirl and everybody else has tickets on other rides. And so they're going to run those rides too. And so that is that your players need to choose what they're going to interact with. And you can have clocks for possibly worse things to happen if the players decide to ignore the great juicy hooks that you throw out there. So you need to let the consequences happen. So taking from the plotters, you know your world. You know what's going to happen. Taking from the pantsers, you can respond to the changes thrown out at you by your players. And merging into this amusement park, things still happen even if your players choose not to interact with them. So if your players decide they want to go raid the Goblin Horde for money for gold and stuff, well, great. They can go do that. One, there's a Goblin Horde in there. And if they break into that warren and they get swarmed by 24 goblins in the first room, hey, that was their fault for choosing to go in there. So that's your plotting and your pantsing. And if they choose to ignore the princess who's been captured by the wizard, who's going to get turned into an evil zombie commander or something like that, then that was their choice too. That ride still runs. And so that's kind of the world makeup. I mean, one of my favorite things to do is I like to take Star Wars as an example. In this world, there is I can do this one. In a world. So anyway, but in the world of Star Wars, where I started, I like to go ahead and start where episode 1 theoretically started. There is a guy named Palpatine. And Palpatine is hell-bent on taking over the Senate as the Chancellor and then becoming Supreme Chancellor and then destroying the Senate and becoming the Emperor. That's still his plot. That's his plan. And that's a place where your plotting side comes in. But as your players who, let's say that you get a few of them that are Jedi. And Jedis are basically the peacekeepers of the galaxy. They're like sheriffs that go around and beef up and support the local militias and the local governments and their armies. They go around and check them up and make sure that they're okay, train them up where they're needed, and they just kind of keep reports of the peace going back to Coruscant. But Palpatine is going to know what they're doing, but he's not going to care about them until they've foiled his plans one too many times, at which point he's going to send his own people after them. So, and for the first bit, he's going to try and feign ignorance and not get involved. So that is really all I wanted to say about plotting, pantsing, and amusement parks. So I will get back to character, because now that we've got a place where we can put these characters, next time we'll probably delve a little bit into like how to do an elevator pitch for your table to help them come around to see what kind of a game you guys can all play together. So let's do that for next time. We're going to next time talk about what's in the world and how to pitch it, so that way they can have an idea of how to create their characters. So until next time, this is Mason with Ace Role-Playing Games. Remember, that stands for Achieve, Create, and Entertain. So I'm with the Ace Role-Playing Games Clubs, and we're gaming for good. And we will see you in the next video. Bye.